This book, Blue Etiquette, was inspired by, I was in a used bookstore, I found this book, Blue Etiquette, 1922 version of it. It was often called the Blue Book of Etiquette because it had a blue linen cover, and it was Emily Post's book, and she was really a great writer, but as soon as I opened the book and began reading about it, I was hooked. It was amazing. But I realized I was reading about my folks, but my folks weren't like the grand homeowners. Mine were like the maids and the butlers, or maybe a butler. I don't even know if we could have risen to be a butler, any of my folks. But so I have those poems. I have poems also about blue collar working. I'm first generation college. I had to work and put myself to school, though I have to say, school did not cost what it costs now. And then there are poems of lament that in the end, and there's a poem, the book's dedicated to one of my really, really great friends, Claudia Emerson, who is a wonderful poet, and she died a couple of years ago. So let me just read a couple of things from this, and then I'll finish up. So the first poem is called Mowing the Fairways, and that's where the artwork came from. Red Hen had an artist who actually did this for me, so I'm really grateful for it. I think it's a really gorgeous book. Mowing the Fairways. One summer at the local course, I spent my hot days driving the beat-up Allis-Chalmers, black smoke burping from its stack. Up and down the fairways of the back nine, I rumbled, bush hogging the rough. I stopped looking behind me after the first day when I realized I was mowing over nests of young. Once, a shredded snake flew overhead, strange tentacled bird thrown up from the churning rusted blades. It was how I was going to escape, to get myself to college after the sheriff had run away my father. How I would become a nurse, or a teacher, or a paralegal, something useful. I didn't have to begin ducking balls until around lunch when the duffers, who'd told lies to escape their offices for the afternoon, sped about in carts for a quick round. Once, cutting farthest from the clubhouse, I watched 3 men in bright orange jumpsuits navigate the wood's edge. They saw that I saw them, but we all pretended I hadn't. They kept moving, I kept mowing, trundling forward. We were all, I guess, pretending it didn't matter where we'd just come from. In the middle of the book, there are poems that are in the voice of or about the folks, the archetypes that Emily Post writes about. So she has these people that she moves around in the book to show you what's good manners and what's not good manners. And so she has the Mrs. Worldly and Mr. Worldly and the Gildings and the old lineages. And she has the young marrieds who can never do anything right. They just can't do anything right. So there are lots of poems like that in the center. But I'll close now with a poem that I just want to tell you all, if you're writers and you believe in what you're doing, you need to carry on with that. This is a poem that was really important to me, something else that happened when I was a child, or a teenager. And I wrote this poem, meant a lot to me. I sent it out probably a dozen times, and it kept coming back. And I finally sent it to Shenandoah, which is quite a fine magazine. And I thought, well, it'll be back in a second. But they took it, and so it just had to find the right person, the right editor. And when they took it, they published it, and about, I don't know, a day after it was published, Poetry Daily wrote me and said they wanted to pick it up. So Poetry Daily, I don't know, you all know, it's an online magazine, and it has about 65,000 impressions, which is the biggest audience that I could ever think about having, ever. And so, it was just because, you kept at it. So if your stuff comes back, you think it's good, you just send it out. You don't let that get you down. It's just about finding the right reader, okay? And that right reader was an editor who put this in front of a lot of people for me. So, so this is called What the Girl Wore. At the store, on the hanger, the blue dress must have fallen like water to a froth of frilled hem, its bodice as smocked as a christening gown. A season out of date, her mother chose it from our local department store chiefly for its high collar. But I knew it was a dress Lisa wouldn't have been caught dead in. Just hidden under the neck band of lace, the circle of her purple necklace, each dark bead a fingertip of efficient bruise that we already knew about anyway, and simply went on imagining as we, her classmates, filed past the white coffin. Thank you all very much for having me. Appreciate it.